in the afternoon. Just finished with him and Andrew McGinnis a couple of hour or so ago. So if you want some hockey looks for tonight, let me double check that they did in fact go live on that show earlier today at 2:00. But they did obviously, and if you wanted some NHL looks, definitely go take a look at that show from earlier. I am not an NHL expert by any means. I will still try and drop a thought or a conversation about it here and there, and we might talk about it a little bit, but I certainly am not going to give you any expert opinions. Andrew McGinnis is a much, much smarter NHL person and would be considered in that expert category. Definitely go take that show a look. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the couple of NBA games, as well as the, I think it's a half MLB slate today on Monday here. Travel day for a handful of teams, so we will get into that. But at the end of the day, we're going to keep this thing short and sweet for the most part here. So we will look back at this past weekend here just a second before we dive into it. Obviously, if you paid attention to NBA yesterday, a couple of really good series getting tied up, a couple of really solid games yesterday afternoon and last night with Boston and Philly and Denver and Phoenix. And then we turned to today with two series also at 2-1. So I don't know that it's going to follow the exact same trend where all these series are going 2-2. I think, honestly, we could see one of these series tonight being tied up and the other one looking like a 3-1 lead. We'll talk about it when we get there. But at the end of the day, these series are these four series that we've got going on are looking really, really solid. So as far as NHL, obviously yesterday, some interesting swings there. The Florida Panthers 3-0 lead on the Toronto Maple Leafs. They finally get the monkey off their back, and now in the blink of an eye, really looking at a 3-0 deficit. Carolina and Seattle 2-1 leads yesterday as well, and then I believe only one game tonight. Vegas and Edmonton, big game there to split the one tie there in Edmonton. So if anyone's got any thoughts on that, feel free to comment. I do not have much thoughts on that game. I can't give you any expert opinions on it. So if anyone's got any thoughts, go right ahead. But we could be seeing plenty of goals tonight. So evening, Connor, thank you for stopping by. As always, any questions or comments, concerns, thoughts, go ahead and drop them in the chat there. As we move into the NBA slate today, no, officially, I think it would have been kind of silly, especially at this stage of a series, especially at the owner says he didn't want it, but no suspension for Nikola Jokic. So not going to have a drastically affected Game 5 in a 2-2 series with Jokic out. And credit to the Suns for saying that they don't want that, as maybe as simple as that might be. You want to beat them at their best with their best, and obviously that's with Jokic. So credit to the NBA, if you will, for not administering a silly suspension. I assume maybe he'll get a little fine or something, slap on the wrist or something along those lines. And maybe if it was a regular season, we'd be seeing a suspension. But it is obviously not, and he's, that's correct, getting $25,000 fine. So I think that's probably pretty accurate there. So as far as tonight's games are concerned, with yesterday's games, I think both of them getting going again tomorrow night. One in Boston, one in Denver tomorrow night. Tonight, we've got Game 4s in Miami, New York and Miami, Golden State and the Lakers. The underdog hosting, or excuse me, I shouldn't say the underdog. The seeding underdog in the series hosting tonight, as well as having the 2-1 lead. Not the underdogs in tonight's games case. The Miami Heat -4.5 favorites now as we see it. And as far as this series, I said I think there's going to be one series that ties up tonight, and the other one potentially goes 3-1. Obviously, I could be mistaken on that one, but in tonight's case, you've got a series that so far, the first two games solid. Last game, Miami taking a 105-86 win at home. And I think a lot of people are starting to really believe in this Heat team, as maybe they have been for the past few weeks. And I'm not discouraging that. I'm not saying they can't win tonight. But I'm going to lean towards especially a 4-point spread on, Saturday? In Miami, 105-86 whomping by the Heat. And now we're staring at, I think it opened 3.5, and now it's up to 4.5 here. So instead of it being drastically changed after the blowout in Miami and the home court for Miami being the reason, or one of the reasons why the Heat are going to dominate this game and eventually, ultimately take control of the series, I think the Knicks fight back a little bit tonight. Their defense has been solid in the series, or at least, not letting Miami, shoot above their skis as far as offensively is concerned. I mean, Miami's 108, 105, and 105 points scored in all 3 games. So Knicks defense isn't the problem here. Last game, obviously, 86 points. The first loss, 101 points, obviously isn't going to cut it, so the offense is going to have to come a little bit more well-prepared tonight. But at the end of the day, in the regular season, there were some games where New York against this Miami team had some nice offensive games. So I think the Knicks will come back with a big sense of urgency, not looking to go down 3-1. As much as I respect Miami and respect what they have at home, I'm going to lean towards not only the Knicks in the 4.5. I'm going to lean towards them even in the series and taking the win home for the Knicks and making it a 2-2 series heading back to MSG in Game 5. So that is where I'm at with that one. Not an over the top thought by any means, but at the end of the day, I do think this one is going to continue and kind of go that way as far as being a really exciting series here. So that, if you heard me at the start, moves us into the next one. And if you're surprised by it, I can understand. Golden State and L.A., and this isn't a hard thought by any means, but I'm going to go with the Lakers taking the 3-1 series lead here tonight over the checking my notes here. If you heard me in the first round series, obviously they ended up winning 1 on the road in the first round against the 11-30 straight up on the road Golden State Warriors in the regular season. Bringing that to a 12-33 record, I believe, after postseason. The 1-2 stretch in the first round, and now 0-1 here on the road. So I'm gonna go against the Warriors on the road here again. Obviously, it is the Warriors, and I understand where anyone seeing plus 120 or plus 2.5 is chomping at the bit. Yeah, obviously, plenty of people believe in this Lakers team. And on one hand, I maybe you could see another spirited performance from Steph Curry where he kind of looks his team in the face, kind of like they did in Game 7 and step up. But you know what? You can only do that so many times into so many teams. The Lakers aren't going to be unexpected and not going to know what's happened. They've been in, or at least LeBron James has been in this case before. So I'm not trying to say this is a LeBron James show by any means, but I don't think the Lakers are going to be surprised by a Golden State motivated performance here. So I'm going to go against the Warriors and lean on them being really bad on the road throughout the entirety of the season. Up against a team that does have at least some players with experience and knows what to expect from this Golden State team. So that is where I'm going with this one. I could absolutely be wrong if you're a Golden State person and you believe in Steph Curry. I absolutely get it. Kind of in the same sense. Obviously, the Lakers win by 30, and we're 3.5 point favorites. Now it's 2.5. If you want to go that angle and say it's a Golden State number, I can understand that, but. I think it's a tough spot again here for the Warriors, and I think they stumble, and I think the Lakers take this one here. So would not be surprised by any means. Obviously not trying to play both sides, but obviously they do have Steph Curry. He could go absolutely nuclear again here tonight, but I think you're going to see strong performances from the Lakers stars, and their depth players have been playing very solid, and I don't think they're going to be phased at all here. So I am going to be leaning towards the Knicks to even the series and the Lakers to take a 3-1 lead tonight. Now, moving on over, as always, feel free if I get halfway through MLB and somebody's got an NBA question, feel free to drop it in. I will circle on back, no problem at all. But we'll go through this MLB slate quickly. Obviously, I know most people are interested in the NBA slate tonight, but you know what? I'll get out of the way before I go all the way past it and then forget all the way completely about them. But not the first game up, but White Sox and Royals. 6:40 my time, 7:40 East Coast time. Dylan ceases at Greinke. White Sox minus 130. Opened up about minus 150, now down to about minus 130. And obviously, you've got Dylan Cease, Zach Greinke on the mound, as I mentioned. But a pitcher in Dylan Cease that has not been what we saw from him last season yet. Has seen it in certain spots. His first couple of starts were fine, especially his first 2 starts against Houston and San Francisco. Has seen some regression in the last handful. 4 walks last time out. They ended up getting the win against the Twins, but 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, a homer and a walk among 6 Ks. That is against a divisional team that's seen him plenty of times. He has had some struggles against them in the past. So those walks every now and then, there are a couple spots where he's had some big walk numbers that are concerning. 2-3 years ago when he was still coming up in the league trying to make a name for himself, that was one of his struggles was his control. So I am going to lean on, and I said it last time, and it didn't necessarily come to fruition, but I do think it, obviously you can take what I say with a grain of salt with the White Sox, but I do believe that Dylan Cease at some point is going to look like the Dylan Cease that we saw from last year. Zach Greinke, on the other hand, is a little bit more hit or miss. He was very good last time out, 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 3 Ks. Time before that, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 homers, 2 walks against the Twins. So he is going to be a little bit all over the place. I think in games against the White Sox last year, it was kind of the similar case where there might have been one really nice start, might have been a really ugly start, mixed all around there. But at the end of the day, you don't really know what you're going to get here. So I'm going to lean towards maybe a little bit of a lower scoring affair, but I will lean towards, I'll take it as with a grain of salt. Obviously, I haven't done it too many times this year, but I will go with my White Sox tonight. Playing better all-around baseball. It is tough. Obviously, I guess I'll walk back a little bit. Whenever a team scores 17 runs like they did yesterday, going to them the next day, expect them to score a lot of runs usually doesn't work out so well. So if the White Sox win, I guess I will lean on it being because of Dylan Cease. So maybe I like the under in this one. Maybe the White Sox get to Zach Greinke. It is a tough one. I would leave it on the desk altogether if I were you. Detroit and Cleveland is the actual first game up here in about just under an hour. Tanner Bybee, again, don't know. I'm going to have to double-check the pronunciation. I was all over the place last week with it. Start number 3 for him in his, I believe it's his career. He's a rookie. First 2 have not been too bad. Home against Colorado, 1 earned run over 5 2/3. At the Yankees, 5 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 5 Ks. So he has been pretty solid so far. He's facing a Tigers team with Joey Wentz on the mound, who has kind of been all over the place. He's got a few starts, 3 earned runs, 1 earned run, 2 earned run, and then a couple with at least 5 earned runs. So he's going to be all over the place. But you are getting a big price here for Cleveland. I do feel like that is a little inflated, but at the end of the day, this Tigers team should and most likely will regress, and vice versa. I know a lot of people are expecting Cleveland to do the opposite, which I would probably agree with you, but at the end of the day, their offense, top to bottom, it might not go the other way. They're going to have some nice stretches, and they're going to look like a team like they were last year, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't count on Cleveland being quite as good as they were last year. But as I said, Detroit will most likely regress. However, I would not. You're getting plus money on the run line. If you're going to get into this one and you want to believe in BB, maybe you go to the first 5, but it is a pretty hefty price. And at some point, as good as he's been in his young career, he's probably going to get beat up. Do I think it's going to be today? Probably not. But the regression for this young guy is coming at some point. Again, I would say it's not going to happen today against the Tigers, but there's numbers that are pretty tough to get into. But just tread lightly and wait for him to have this bad start before you try and pounce on BB, whatever the hell's name is. Moving over to the AL East, McClanahan and Gibson on the mound for Tampa and Baltimore. Tampa minus 190 here on the road. Baltimore here, the home team tonight. And obviously, if you haven't been paying attention too much to the MLB, the Orioles have been really solid. One of the best teams in baseball record-wise so far. Tampa opened this one up about minus 155, now climbing up to minus 190 as people are rushing to bet the Rays, the team with the number 1 best record in all of baseball, and also kind of expecting Baltimore to regress here at some point. They just lost 2 out of 3 in Atlanta. Now playing against a Tampa Bay team. So I, as Jeff Dawson would like to say, maybe he wouldn't agree with this one. In this case, I don't know, but I'll respect the opening number and say that this one has gotten way too inflated to jump into this one. If you're interested in Tampa, if you're interested in Baltimore, I don't love it because obviously McClanahan has been very solid, has continued to be very solid again this year. Let me look at his last start. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned. All of his starts is 2 earned runs or less. So he has been really good. And Kyle Gibson is a little all over the place. Last time out, 6 2/3, 10 hits, 6 earned runs. So it is a little bit of a toss-up. That is why you're seeing the inflated number. I will say I expect Kyle Gibson to not give up 5+ runs. I don't know if he's going to be dazzling by any means and he's going to shut this Rays team out, but I guess what I'm saying is I think it's going to be a closer game, and the Orioles might have some chances to win. Do I think this means this is an Orioles number or anything? That's not what I'm saying. It's just inflated on Tampa's side. You've missed the boat if you're trying to get into Tampa. Not even plus money on the run line anymore. But if you're interested in Baltimore and you're just taking a swing because of value's sake, because the number has ballooned, then I can understand that. But at the end of the day, I would put this one closer to a toss-up. Is at the end of the day what I'm trying to say here. Colorado and Pittsburgh. Colorado 14-21, the 20-15 Pittsburgh Pirates. However, they have lost. I believe it's 7 in a row right now, and their offense has quickly flipped the switch to off. At least in the last 5. I don't know how it started. I'm seeing the last 5. 2 runs scored or less in all 5 of those games. Meanwhile, Colorado, home and away, these last 5-6 days is starting to turn things around. They've won 4 of their last 5. Took 2 out of 3 from the Mets in New York. And I talked about last week, I expect this Colorado team to turn things around at home. So if this one was at home up against a overachieving, at least record-wise, Pirates, I don't know how you judge them now as they're 20-15 with a 7-game losing streak. But I do expect this Colorado team to get a lot better at home. On the road, obviously, still interesting, tough there. So let's see. Connor, O's team total over 3.5 at even money. That's is something that caught my eye. Decided I'm not going to play it because of McClanahan and Baltimore K numbers. When looking at totals and team totals, how much do you typically take K numbers into consideration? I certainly in a case where you've got a pitcher with a high K rate up against a team with a high K rate, then certainly you would take that into consideration. If you've got a clash where it's his K numbers are high, but the team isn't the team that strikes out a lot, then you can probably you can kind of not throw it out the window, but ignore that. When you've got the two that match up together, then it's definitely something to look at. At some point, McClanahan's going to have a maybe not a bad start, but at least he hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs yet. So I agree with you. It's a tough one to get into. If you're betting on the Orioles today, you either think that McClanahan's going to have that regression start, which is not like it hasn't really been any indication that he's going to. He's going to just because that's how baseball works. There's nothing like, it's not like he's had a certain thing that you can point to and say he's due for some regression specifically in this timeout. So I agree with you as far as staying away from it. And at the end of the day, obviously you went to Orioles team total consideration there. But my interest in Baltimore was I think people are expecting Gibson to be, horrendous in the lopsided matchup between McClanahan and Gibson. I think it's honestly, Baltimore will probably land at 3 or 4 is where I'm kind of at. It's kind of a toss-up. That's kind of where my head was at with that one. So appreciate you bringing that one up. Good thought to make there for sure. As far as Colorado and Pittsburgh, though, we talked about Colorado home. Going to leave this. We're not getting in the way of this Pittsburgh losing streak. Not going to try and back Colorado after they've won all these games. They're still on the road. Again, at some point when they go back home, which I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be. I think this weekend, actually, they've got the Phillies at home and then the Reds. So the next after this series, I think you'll probably be seeing me with some Colorado action until something breaks with this Pittsburgh team. And again, Colorado, I don't know how many they've won in a handful. All I see is 4 out of the last 5. I know that was probably about the time where I was talking about them there. And they had a nice series at home, and then they went on the road, and they still carried it over there. So I don't know what to expect out of this game or series tonight and this week with Colorado and Pittsburgh there. Would imagine Pittsburgh ends that losing streak at some point, just don't know when. Oakland and the Yankees. Sears and Nestor Cortez. This one a little goofy here in this one. With the pricing of this one, Yankees plus money at home against the 8-27 A's. A's, after their rough losing streak, have turned things around. They won the series this past weekend, took 2 out of 3 from the Royals, scored 12 and 5 runs Friday, Saturday. Only won yesterday. In Sears' case for the A's, finally a bounce back, 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks last time against the Mariners after a not a very good start. 6.23 ERA in the month of April there. And then now you've got Nestor Cortez on the mound for the Yankees, who hasn't been fantastic. 7 earned runs in his last time out. Before that, he was okay. 2 to 3 runs is kind of the average that he's putting up through 5-6 innings, and then a big regression last time out. So I'm not sure what to expect out of both of these pitchers here tonight. I will say the plus money at home against the Oakland A's definitely is a little sticky with a guy that, obviously certain people like Nestor Cortez. It's not like he's a total punching bag. start to finish as well. So against a guy in Sears who has been at times a punching bag, with a total of 8.5. A little funky there, a little interesting. I would tread lightly on this Yankees team today. I think they'll play a lot better at some point. I know a lot of people starting to talk about the Yankees' struggles or 18-17, not living up to expectations. I think they'll start to play a lot better. And I guess I'll say, they probably will in this game, but the pricing of it is a little funky on this one. I do respect it. Opened up at about 220. Again, I think they'll win, but I don't think this is a runaway win as much as you might think. Yankees and A's, I'm sure they'll have a big runaway win here this series. But the Oakland A's will probably win one of these games here against the Yankees. So tread lightly on that series for sure, especially tonight. A few more games left. This one should be a good one, especially in my neck of the woods. Struggling Cardinals 11-24 at the Cubs 17-17. Obviously, Cardinals, along with my White Sox, even more surprising as far as what their expectations were. The Cardinals compared to the White Sox, really ugly start. Obviously, 11-24. They did win yesterday, but that was they broke a losing streak there. Lost 2-3 at home against Detroit. Lost a series to the Angels before that at home. So now going to Wrigley Field this weekend, there should be some good sense of urgency here that this could be the time that they turn things around. As far as the pitching matchup tonight, you've got Mikolas and Stroman. In Stroman's case, I would, as much as I like, for the most part, I like Stroman. Not trying to suggest that he's not a good pitcher, but he is someone that you can count on regression to a decent degree. He's been really good so far this year, aside from one start. He had three really good starts out of four very good starts to start the season. 3 of them was 0 earned runs, 1 of them 2 earned runs. Finally hit that regression against the Dodgers on April 23rd with 5 earned runs. Bounced back after that, 2 earned runs, and now last time, 1 earned runs against Washington. Now against a Cardinals team that, like I said, is at a kind of a turning. I don't know if it's a turning point in the season. Maybe you would say a week or two ago it was a turning point in their season. Maybe it's too late. But this against a heated rival, you would expect them to turn things around. In Mikolas' case, he's been a little all over the place. Last handful of games, he's kept the runs not too bad. He's been able to scatter some and get out of danger. 5 2/3, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 5 Ks last time out. So I don't know what to expect out of Mikolas. The total in this one is all the way down at 7.5. You will have, it doesn't look like too much wind, kind of a chilly evening in Wrigley Field. So, might be a little, the ball might not be too lively. But at the end of the day, and the total has really scared me off, and obviously Stroman's been very good. There's a lot of factors that are turning me off of it, but the Cardinals team total over 3.5 would be one that just based off Stroman regression and the Cardinals having some sense of urgency that I would expect to be solid. But with a 7.5 over under total and a chilly night in Wrigley, I'm a little hesitant. But at the end of the day, if I do, this is one that I'm strongly considering tonight. I haven't done anything with it yet. I would like the Cardinals money line, but again, you might see, Mikolas could give up 10 hits, 6 runs, and, the Cardinals might put up 5 and they lose 5-6. You could have gone over the total there, but there's some concerning factors to it, but I will lean towards the Cardinals team total over 3.5 in this one. Obviously, I think there's a couple spots you can find plus money. But again, obviously, if you've been playing the Cardinals through this point, you're probably sick of them, but the Cardinals should turn things around at some point here. And again, against the Cubs, I think this could be a series where they do just that and win a series here at the very least. Dodgers and Milwaukee. Milwaukee minus 120 on the money line at home. Peralta versus Gonsolin. 2 years ago, this would have been not a bad. This isn't a bad pitching matchup tonight. 2 years ago, this would have been a really good one. These guys were very good. Peralta, obviously very good a couple years ago. Starting to round into form a little bit here. He is kind of a little all over the place so far. Obviously was injured a lot last year. This year, last 2 starts, 2 earned runs in each. Last time out, 7 at Colorado, 7 hits, only 2 earned runs, both of them solo home runs and 3 walks. So allowed 10 base runners, a couple of them solo home runs, and managed only the 2 home runs. So maybe you would say he's due to give up some runs here. Gonsolin, on the other hand, wasn't fantastic, wasn't terrible. He's only had 2 outings. 3 1/3 first time out, 4 2/3 the second time out. So they kind of baby him. I don't know if baby him. That's not the right word to say. He is someone that I've talked about a handful of times. A lot of pitchers in baseball, especially the last handful of years, get yanked after the second time through the lineup. So when Gonsolin's on the mound and you think he's going to have a good start, I like to go to that first 5. This one's a little tough though with Peralta, and you don't really know where he is. Is he going to build off of what he's done the last 2 weeks? Is he going to, hit some regression because he's getting up base runners and now he's going to get hurt and actually give up those runs? I'm a little torn on that one, if I'm being totally honest. So I'll lean towards the Dodgers, although they have obviously been turning things around. Brewers have been regressing. So honestly, to see this one was at -110, now up to -120. Brewers, it feels like a little bit of a carrot that I'm buying into with the plus money and the Dodgers here after they've been turning things around. So I am going to stay away from it, but I'm believing in Gonsolin a little bit more than Peralta, at least at their first 5. So maybe I like Dodgers first 5 there. Let's see. Only a few more left here. Houston and the Angels. Brown versus Sandoval. Jeff Dawson and I are, as we always say to each other while we're here, we both love Sandoval. Finally bounced. I shouldn't say finally. He's been solid aside from one bad start this season. Last 2, the bounce back start not bad. Last time out, pretty solid. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 4 Ks. So you don't love to see those walks whenever he's walking. That's when he's kind of getting in some trouble. But he did bounce back to some degree there. He is facing a team that he's obviously seen a handful of times, going back to last year, especially in Houston. There was a couple bad outings against them. One good, one bad, honestly. So you don't really know what you're getting out of Sandoval as much as I like him. And Houston being favored here is obviously something to look at. Hunter Brown, year 2. He has made a handful of outings this season. He's been a little hit or miss. 2 outings with 4 earned runs. The other ones 4 outings with 2 earned runs or less. So he's been pretty good these last 2 times out, actually. So as far as these two teams are concerned, obviously everyone's assuming Houston's going to start turning things around. They have not been playing good ball lately. Their offense has been a little stagnant. Angels, after winning some games, just lost their last 2 at home against Texas. So hosting things again here, and now you're seeing a home dog here in the Angels with Sandoval on the mound. Doesn't give me a ton of confidence in them. With as much as I like Sandoval and as much as a lot of people like Sandoval, to see them as home dogs is a little concerning. It did open at a pick'em, so I will say maybe some value is on the Angels at this point. I think if you're getting the Astros, you might be a little inflated. But at the end of the day, I kind of put this one as a toss-up. I think one of these guys could be really solid, and one of them might give up 3-4 runs, and that's going to be the difference in the game here. So I will stay away from it. Should be a good one to watch, though. I'll go one more, Texas and Seattle. Seattle's starting to play a lot better ball right now. They have been winning a bunch of games. Won a series against Oakland, won a series against Houston this past weekend. Texas, obviously 20-13, playing very solid ball as well. Just won a series against the Angels, scored a lot of runs, 10 and 16 runs the last 2 days here. And yet we're seeing a 7.5 total. You've got the Mariners -170 at home with Gilbert on the mound. And John Gray on the mound for the Rangers. Gilbert, let me double-check what his last start was. Talked about him a little bit last week, I think. Didn't have the greatest start. Now is starting to round back into form a little bit here. 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, but it was against Oakland. So maybe take that with a grain of salt. But I do feel like you've got a Logan Gilbert that is turning things around. And against a Texas team that put up all those runs that they did the last 2 days, you're not getting a good price on it, and you really got to go low. You got to go under 3 at +104 to get plus money on the Texas Rangers to be held down by Gilbert here. So I'm going to stay away from it. I mean, a couple bloops and you could be at 3-4 runs. So I will definitely lean towards Seattle at home. I think the number is inflated as far as the number is concerned a little bit here. I do respect it quite a bit. Not loving the run line at home. Without the guaranteed 27 outs, as Jeff Dawson likes to say. But I will lean towards Seattle getting the win in this one. And that is trying to turn things around for them. I think Texas is good. Their offense is really good. I think they'll regress a little bit here. Their offense might go through some tough days. But the end of the day, the AL West should be a really, really exciting race, and I will give that game to the Mariners tonight. Alrighty, so if that about does it for what I was going to bring to the table. If I missed any of the 2 or 3 games that I skipped over and you want to talk about, feel free to jump in. Again, not going through too deep into the hockey game tonight. Jeff and Andrew McGinnis talked about the hockey games, hockey series game tonight, and everything else that's going on earlier today on ESCSI pages. So go and check out that if you're looking for thoughts on the hockey game tonight or any of the series that are going on right now. And then scroll back onto the basically the start of the show if you're looking for some thoughts here on the NBA games. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get out of here. But thank you everyone for stopping by. Thank you, Connor, for the comments, the thoughts, and the questions. Very, very much appreciated. Never get tired of talking back and forth with people. So I believe I don't know what the full schedule is tomorrow, but I will be here tomorrow. About the same time for the closing bell tomorrow, and for every to recap today, and then go over tomorrow night's slate. And then again, I'm not sure what else Jeff Dawson's got in store for tomorrow, but stay tuned as always for everything we've got going on. We've got plenty of good shows coming up, and a very, very good week with NHL and NBA playoffs heating up and cooking along. So don't go anywhere. Thank you guys for stopping by, and again, thank you, Connor, for stopping by and commenting. You have a great night as well, and best of luck if you've got any wagers going on tonight, my friends.